I am going to get started. I know we still have a few more people rolling in, but we have lots to cover today. So good afternoon and welcome to Supporting with Access to Benefits. I'm so excited to talk to you today about how you can help Canadians on a low income access benefits. And we're going to practice using the benefits Wayfinder together. So we are really excited to have a big, large group today. So just be patient with us as we try to navigate everybody's technical issues and questions. It's just great to know that so many of you are interested in helping people to access the benefits that they're entitled to. Before we move on, I'll do one more little check. Can everybody hear us okay and see the screen? Again, continue to use the chat to let us know if there's any issues. I see some thumbs up. Thank you so much. That means our reactions are working, so that's great. We have Sharmeen Beg, my colleague, is here to support us with any technical issues. And again, in case of any internet interruptions and you get kicked out, just try logging back in. And we are recording this session and we will share it on our website afterwards as well. So if you do miss anything, you can certainly go back and look at it. We usually get that up within the next few days. And we'll also provide a copy of the handouts from this session. All right, so for those who are not familiar with who we are, we were founded in 1986, and Prosper Canada is a national charity. We're dedicated to expanding economic opportunity for Canadians living in poverty, and we do that through program and policy innovation. As Canada's leading national champion of financial empowerment, we work with government, with businesses, and community partners to develop and promote financial policies, programs, and resources that transform the lives and foster prosperity of all Canadians. So we help service systems and organizations in all sectors to build proven financial empowerment approaches into their businesses. And we do this in ways that are sustainable. We help them achieve their goals and tangibly increase the financial well-being of the low-income people they serve. So that's a little bit about us. I encourage you to check out our website as well. So, of course, I'd like to start today with a land acknowledgement, and I invite everyone to make their own acknowledgements in the chat if they're calling in from other areas as well. So, we begin by acknowledging that we're joining you from Toronto, which is situated upon traditional territories. The territories include the Wendat, Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Métis Nation. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. So again, I encourage you to make your own acknowledgements in the chat if you'd like to. So my name is Jenny Bolton, and I will be your facilitator for this session. Again, I thank my colleague Sharmeen for joining us today and having to listen to me once again and providing technical support. We have a really big group. So before we get started, I'd love to get to know everybody a little bit, just to know where you're from. If you could please write in the chat your name and where you're from in Canada. Let's see where everybody's coming from today. And I see that we still have people arriving. All right. And let's see who we have here. Now, hopefully, there we go. Hi, Sammy from Toronto. High River, Alberta. Calgary, from Wood Green. Lots of people at Wood Green. Edmonton, oh my goodness, Brampton, Ajax from all over. Treaty 1 territory, Alliston, all over the place, and from different places as well. Wonderful. I welcome everyone, and it's just great to have representation from across Canada, from all different community organizations, or maybe you're here just to learn for yourselves or for a friend or family member. So there's lots of reasons that you could be joining us today, and we welcome you here. So you can continue to add your name and where you're from. And I want to now just sort of share with you one of the tools that we're going to be using in the webinar today, and it's called Mentimeter. So we're going to use it to sort of get everybody engaged. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to either log in. So if you have a phone that you're using as well, this is a really great way to do that. You could log into menti.com and use the code that you see on the slide, or very simply just hold your phone up to the QR code that you see, and it should take you right to Mentimeter. Okay, I'm going to give everybody a moment. I'm going to leave the slide up there just to see if you have a chance. And if anybody, again, has any issues with that, if you have issues and you can't get Mentimeter working, not to worry, just add your answers into the chat. So we'll be navigating that as well. It's just sometimes a fun way to visually be able to see everybody's answers. All right. So in a moment, and Jennifer, oh my goodness, can't see slides either. Okay, we'll have to see how we can help you. I'm sorry about that, Jennifer. We're going to, in a moment, do a quick poll, and what we want to do is see who you work with or who you hope to help with benefits access. So I'm going to switch my screen now to the Mentimeter, and you will be able to answer the question there. So just give me a moment. I can see that people are already answering. That's fantastic. So just learning a little bit about what populations that you support. So we have lots of people supporting newcomers. Fantastic. All right, this looks great. Families with children looks to come. Oh, and other number 2, homeless and underhoused populations. So a little bit of everything, which is fantastic, but a really large group supporting newcomers. Good to know. Okay, it's always great to see sort of who you one option for others. So yeah, if you've chosen other and you want to share in the chat what groups that is, you can. David, I see a hand raised there. If you want to, maybe if you could possibly put your question in the chat, and we'll be able to help you best that way. Oh, all of the above is other as well. That's great. Okay, so refugee claimants, low income, fantastic. So lots of different groups that we're helping and supporting, which is fantastic. Thank you so much. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go back to my slide deck here. Lots of back and forth today, so you'll just have to be patient with me. All right. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing. Again, it's really nice to have an idea of who's joining us today. So what are we going to do today? Well, the purpose of today is to learn a little bit and practice as well the skills to support Canadians living on a low income to access benefits. So this starts with understanding your role in providing support. It also includes important skills like knowing how to start the conversation about benefits. And we're also going to review some tips for using the Benefits Wayfinder and give you time to explore the tool yourself using some personas. Hey, today you actually get a bonus. We've changed the webinar just slightly, and we're actually going to add in a short overview as well of the Disability Benefits Compass, which is linked to the Benefits Wayfinder or can also be accessed as a standalone tool. And finally, we're going to provide you with some additional resources and training that's available to you. So these topics, along with more details on financial literacy, financial conversations, and how to use the Benefits Wayfinder are also available through the Foundations of Access to Benefits online course. So if you've not taken this training and you're interested, we'll provide more information on this along with other resources at the end of the workshop. So we have about 1.5 hours together today. I always try to make sure we have a little bit of time at the end for questions. So let's get started. Again, any questions, I'm going to just give a little check to the chat here and make sure that people are doing okay.
Jenny, we have a couple of raised hands, so I suggest
see that. Yeah, maybe people, I'm guessing they aren't able to access, they might be having difficulty with the chat, which is that I'm going to, why don't could we unmute one and just see if that's the issue? Saying can't display content. Okay.
Jennifer, I'm tempted to wonder if the issue is your end, because we did check with everyone else on the call and they were able to see the slides. So I'm not very sure how best to support you on this one.
Now, with a couple of hands, I'm going to ask, I think I've allowed, I can't see who, I see MD. Oh, Megan, there's Megan. Can you perhaps let us know what is happening? I see your hand up. Is there an issue with the chat? And maybe you can't even write your problems in the chat is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
My chat box says that the chat is only available during meetings, and the person is outside my organization and has limitations on our chat, so we can't even engage. Thumbs up. Everybody else is in the same position by the
People are
looks of
having
it.
that. Okay. All right. We
Because
had
everybody
that
else from my agency is in the same position. So I know I see a couple of other folks on here, and they're all in the same boat.
Sometimes it can be a block on the side of the organization, but if you give everybody, if you're willing to be patient with me, and give us just a moment, we'll see if we can do something on the back end. So Shameen, I'm going to say in the back end while I'm speaking, I don't know if it'll work, but there might be where you go to the settings and there might be something that, in fact, I might. No, I don't know if we're going to be able to. It could be something on the organization's end. This is something new that's just been happening, and it's really frustrating. So, fortunately, for most of the things that we're interacting on, we will have the ability to use Mentimeter, and that way we'll get to see everybody's responses. It's only if, of course, you want to ask a question. And so, what we'll do is if you have a question, hold it for the end, and then we'll actually allow people to put their hands up and unmute, and we'll be able to ask questions that way. So hopefully that'll work. We always find a way to work around. Okay, so thanks everyone. All right, so here's what you're going to expect from today. We're going to be using a variety of different learning formats to give you a chance to engage with the content. So some of the activities will be completed together in our larger group, just as we're doing now, sort of speaking and presenting. And then you'll also have a chance as individuals to practice navigating the benefits Wayfinder. And you'll get to experiment with how to integrate it into money conversations a little bit. We'll talk about that. And there's also going to be opportunities to reflect on your own personal experiences with money. And we're going to have personas, discussions, and some activities. And hopefully they'll come to life as you sort of incorporate them into your own personal experiences. And so because of this, we want the session to be safe, inclusive, and fun. So please treat our time together with respect. All right. Okay, so let's get going here. We're going to do one more quick thing. I want to mention that as we approach this content, we know that people's experiences, their values, and their emotions around money differ widely from person to person. Money is a very sensitive topic. It's very difficult to talk about for some people. So just please remember this as we work together today, and also when you work with individuals in your community or friends and family. All right, so we're going to start by exploring your role in helping the individuals that you work with or the people that you support with accessing the benefits that they're entitled to, but potentially not yet receiving. All right, so why does this matter? Why does access to benefits support matter? So I want you to just take a moment to think about why access to benefit matters. In our own lives, what impact do benefits have? So if you have a child with a disability, you know that benefits matter. If you're caring for an aging parent, or you're saving for a child's education, or you're having difficulty paying bills, benefits matter. So now I want you to think about somebody living on a very low income. What impact can benefits have on an individual or family living on a low income? So in just a moment, I'm going to switch to a word cloud back in Mentimeter. So hopefully everybody will be able to participate this way. So just give me a moment to switch over, and I want you to think about that. And we know that money's sort of the obvious answer, right? But what impact does more money have on their lives and their well-being? So give me a moment, and I'm going to jump to our Mentimeter. There we go. And we should start to see some responses. Is it working, Shireen? Can you see? So think about what impact it might have. You're also able to add them in the chat if the Mentimeter is not working for you.
I do see a thumbs up, but I don't see responses coming in.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we're getting some great words here. So now somebody's lost contact with the system. Can you please share it again? I don't know what they mean by system. So Karina, do you mean Mentimeter or do you mean the presentation? I'm not sure. And Megan, I see you there as well. Okay, so we're seeing some impacts, so security and safety, reducing stress, of course, better health, more confidence, all of these great things. Benefits are so important. Having that increased income in our households, just prevention of things, relief, more food, being able to have better well-being. These are all really, really great words. So I think you guys all know exactly the great impact that it can have. So somebody's not seeing the Mentimeter. I'm going to stop sharing. I can try that again. Let me see. Can you see the Mentimeter now? But I see the great word cloud. You weren't seeing it before? Sorry about that. Look at all these great words. All right, so now you get a sense. I was able to see all these great things coming in. The QR code, I can show you that again. You can also, if you look at the very top of the slide, it says menti.com and there's a code. So that's another way to access the Mentimeter. Okay. Okay, great. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint, and these are really great answers. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. So let's highlight some of the most important aspects of access to benefits. So individuals who receive benefit navigation support are more likely to be able to access all the benefits that they're eligible for. So by increasing an individual's access to benefits, you play a key role in helping them to increase their income. Receiving benefits can also improve an individual's financial well-being and empower them to take control of their financial situation. And increased benefits can also improve their overall quality of life. This is because the stresses of living in poverty can have an impact on all areas of life. So I certainly think we know that access to benefits has a very positive income. So how can people support individuals to access benefits? All right, so access to benefits is a very vital part of poverty reduction. And if we integrate access to benefits into existing programs, such as social assistance, employment, housing, healthcare, and settlement, the outcomes of these programs are improved. So there are three elements to supporting individuals with accessing benefits. And the first is to identify an individual's eligibility for benefits. So many people living on a low income are not even aware that there are benefits that they could be receiving. Others know about the benefits, but they don't believe that they're eligible. And to identify eligibility, you can ask an individual if they've heard about certain benefits, or you can use the benefit Wayfinder to identify potential benefits that they're eligible for. The second step to supporting individuals is to guide them through the application process. So although the process must be led by the individual, you can help support their application by making an action plan with them, creating to-do lists for their application, keeping them on track with check-in meetings, or helping with practical needs such as completing applications, maybe navigating online tools, printing or mailing benefit applications. And lastly, you can support an individual to access benefits by referring them to additional support as required. So remember, you're not required to have all the answers, right? Benefits can really be complicated. It's totally okay and really important that you refer individuals to other resources if their needs go beyond your comfort level or knowledge. So in these cases, it's really important to have a list of trustworthy organizations and resources to refer to. And luckily, the Benefits Wayfinder has just that, and we'll show you that in just a moment. So in this webinar, we're going to be focusing on the first element. Okay, so we're going to be looking at whether we can determine a person's eligibility and getting them started on the benefits application journey. So again, I'm just going to check in onto the chat and see how we're doing and see if there's any questions. Is there anything I need to address, Sharmeen? Are we doing okay?
Still seem to be having a few tech challenges, and I'm not very sure why. So apologies to everyone. It is not, since some of you can see and some can't, I'm tempted to say that it may be the bandwidth you're on or firewalls at your organization. But other than that, nothing comes to mind. So apologies. And once again, we will be sending sharing the recording and the slide deck probably early next week. So apologies for that again.
Yeah, we don't normally have this many difficulties, so something's happening today. That's the fun about tech, isn't it? Yeah, so definitely we'll send that recording. Okay. So let's get started about how to start the conversation about benefits. Okay, so first, let's recognize that there's many barriers facing the communities and people that we work with and support. So many people living on a low income also have experienced some form of financial or other trauma, which can lead to additional barriers to accessing benefits, information, and support. So a trauma-informed approach recognizes the impact that trauma can have on vulnerable individuals. It aims to empower them by creating conditions of emotional and personal safety. So to take a trauma-informed approach, we're going to follow these 5 principles. First, it's important to create a physically and emotionally safe environment. And one way to do this is to make sure that you hold conversations in a private place. Second principle is to support autonomy and choice. So for example, by ensuring the individual knows that they're in control of all the decisions in the benefits process. The third principle is to create collaborative relationships where the individual has a significant role in how the process unfolds. So for example, the individual chooses how and when to search and apply for benefits, while you can provide the tools and support the action. Next is to establish trust and boundaries. So one way that you can do this is by reassuring the individual that their information will be kept confidential. Another is reminding them that they can stop the meeting or the benefits application process at any time if they choose. And finally, it's important to use a strength and empowerment focused approach. So acknowledging and validating participant feelings, experiences, values, and decisions is really key. Okay, great. So keeping in mind the trauma-informed approach, let's take a look at how to start a benefits conversation. And really, the first step is to determine whether a benefits conversation would be useful for a person. And there are 3 screening questions that can help. They are, have you filed your taxes for the past 5 years? Have you recently experienced or are you coming up to a big life change? So this might include like having a child, losing a job, or retiring. And have you got enough money to make ends meet? So a person's responses to these screening questions are going to indicate whether or not using the benefits Wayfinder and exploring benefits would be worthwhile. So for example, in question 1, if they've not filed their taxes, then there might be benefits that they're missing out on and might not even know about. With question 2, if they have or they're coming up to a big life change, like having a baby, maybe there's benefits that they're going to be eligible for. And finally, question 3, if they don't have enough money to make ends meet, there are most likely some benefits that they could qualify for. On the other hand, if they filed their taxes and they aren't experiencing life change and they have enough money to make ends meet, it's much less likely that they're going to find helpful benefits while using this tool. But in this case, you can also just offer a benefits checkup and make sure that they're receiving everything that they can. So let's talk about how we can use these screening questions in different conversations. So while every situation and every individual is unique, there are 3 common conversation pathways that we're going to take a look at. And in these pathways, you can begin to introduce and discuss access to benefits. So for example, many of you may be frontline workers, or maybe you're supporting somebody in a public situation. Then when you're having that discussion, you really want to make sure that they're in a financially vulnerable situation. So you might be working at a food bank, doing some screening questions. You might be providing formula to a new mom or providing employment and training supports. So this person's not come prepared for this financial conversation. Or it could simply be a conversation at a coffee shop with a friend or family member who's struggling. The second situation takes place during a private one-on-one scheduled money conversation. And the third one takes place in a related field. So maybe it's a healthcare setting, or you're speaking to someone who's incarcerated or providing housing services. So it's a one-on-one private meeting, but the person didn't come with the purpose of discussing money. So I'm going to go back to our Mentimeter, and again, I'm just always curious sort of who you're supporting, and this is a really great way for me to understand which pathway you would most likely find yourself in when you're interacting with your community members. So again, the QR code is there. I want you to think about the context that you're normally in and which pathway you would find yourself on. So I'm going to share, and I got to switch to the next one here. Oops, I went too far. So let's see. Can you see the Mentimeter, Sharmeen? Yeah, okay, great. So let's see where most people are. Are they public on the job? Are they in a one-on-one money conversation or in a related field? Let's see. Okay, so many of them are in a related field. Well, this is interesting, and this is really great to see, because one of the things that we're trying to do, and I'll mention it again at the end of my presentation, is really find ways to integrate the benefits Wayfinder into other sectors, right? So food banks and healthcare and different areas where we really feel that, people's financial wellness can have a great impact on their overall wellness as well. All right, so thank you everybody for sharing. That's great to know. And then we're neck and neck for the public and the one-on-one. All right. Back and forth. Here we go. Okay. So now I'm going to go through a little bit more detail, some tips for these different pathways. So in pathway one, you're in a public place, so you need to be really sensitive and respect people's privacy, right? So you're going to want to ask closed questions, and you're going to want to leave the more detailed discussions to a one-on-one meeting. So you might want to open the conversation with something like, we could explore benefits that you might be eligible for. Would you be interested? All right, and if willing, you can ask those screening questions. Let's see if we remember what they are. It's, have you filed your taxes for the past 5 years? Have you recently experienced, or are you coming up to a big life change? And the third one is do you have enough money to make ends meet? So if appropriate, you can ask if they would be interested in exploring benefits. And if willing, you might want to set up a more private one-on-one meeting. Okay, so that's just some tips for pathway one. Now, pathway two, if you recall, you're already talking about finances and you're in a one-on-one private meeting. So you can ask the screening questions as part of the broader financial conversation. You can consider more open-ended questions about improving their financial situation or increasing their income. And then if the participant identifies a need for increased income, you can ask if they're interested in checking for benefits. And then finally, you can then proceed based on the participant's interest. And then finally, for pathway three, you're working in a related field. So maybe settlement or healthcare, and you're in a one-on-one meeting, so it is private. So you can ask open-ended questions to identify the individual stressors. You can see if there's a need for increased income and share that there may be benefits that can help. And if interested, you can ask those screening questions again. Okay, remember those questions about taxes and life changes. And then finally, if it makes sense to explore further, you can set up a dedicated meeting to explore the benefits Wayfinder with them and benefits in general in more detail. All right, so just a quick review and some tips for all of these pathways. It is really important that you set realistic expectations. So you want to avoid saying things like you will probably be eligible for, right? We don't want to raise people's expectations. And to be productive, the process must be led by the individual. All right, so you should only start the conversation about access to benefits if the individual indicates that they're interested. So remember, your role is to support the process. So you should never be directly giving advice or pressuring an individual to consider benefits. All right, I'll pause for just a moment and see how we're doing and to see if we have any other questions before we move on. How are we doing there, Sharmeen? We're okay? All right, fantastic. I'm sorry again for some of those that are having some difficulties, but we'll do our best. So for those of you who've maybe taken the online course I talked about before or participated in a public demo of just the Benefits Wayfinder, you might be already familiar with the tool. But we're going to take some time and we're going to demonstrate the different ways that it can be used in money conversations. So it's kind of a shorter version of what we would do in a large demo. But if you do want further detail on using the tool, we do have previously recorded webinars that go into greater detail, and you can find those on our Learning Hub. All right, so before I jump to the tool, I'll just give you a little bit of an introduction. So the Benefits Wayfinder is a tool that helps individuals identify and apply for the benefits that they're eligible for. And how does it work? Well, it provides a list of personalized benefits an individual may be eligible for based on their circumstances. So users can view a particular benefit's eligibility, the ID requirements, the application process, and more, and they can organize all of these recommendations on what's called a dashboard. And again, those who are most likely to discover new benefits with the Benefits Wayfinder are those living on a low income, newcomers to Canada, those approaching or experiencing a major life event change, those who have never filed their taxes, and those who are not receiving common starting benefits. Okay. So I'm going to be providing you with a walkthrough of how to use the various features of the Benefits Wayfinder. And then you're going to have a chance to navigate through on your own after this short demonstration. There is a video about the Benefits Wayfinder and how to navigate it available, as I mentioned, and we'll share that with you at the end of the workshop as well. And if you have any questions, again, if you're able, you can leave them in the chat or leave them to the end, and we'll answer them. So we're going to go ahead and look at the tool. I know Sharmeen's going to put the link in the chat in just a minute. But before we do go forward, I just want to state something that if you have specific benefit questions, Sharmeen and I are not benefit experts. I wish I were. We can't answer all of your questions. But what I do find sometimes happens magically in our webinars and our chats is sometimes people put a question in there and we have a benefits expert on the line who is able to answer it. Or if there is a question that we see in there that somebody's really stuck with or wants more information on, then we'll take that away and we'll do some homework. We do have some people on staff who are more experts on the benefit side of things. We're just better at the tools. So we'll try to get those answers for you. Okay, so just give me a moment and I'm going to switch over to the tool. All right, we seeing the Benefits Wayfinder, Sharmeen? Awesome. Okay, so here we go. This is the home page of the Benefits Wayfinder. And as you can see at the top, so forgive me, I'm going to be looking up because I have to look at my other screen here to see the tool. We've got several ways to access the information. So we have starting points, we have a questionnaire, and we have what's called Browse All Benefits. So we're going to focus on the questionnaire, and then later you're going to have a chance to explore it using what's a persona that we've created for you. So I'm going to do a little demonstration of the questionnaire, and there are 13 questions, all right? And you can go through these with a client or somebody that you're trying to support, or the person can do it on their own, but it's good for you to be familiar with how it works. So I'm going to just go over a couple of important things, though, before I complete it with you. One of the things that's important to know is that the information is not stored. Okay, so often people are really uncomfortable sharing personal information online, right? So if that's the case, you can use a different means of exploring benefits. So that's when you could use maybe the starting points or just browse some of the benefits. Okay, and I'll be showing how to do that a little bit later. Also note that you don't have to answer every question. Okay, there is the ability to skip. But the more questions an individual answers, the more specific benefit recommendations they'll receive. Okay, so as you answer more questions, benefits are not going to be removed from your dashboard. They're only going to be added. Another thing it's good to know is that you can move back and forth. So if you've made an error, you can go back and change your answer. And you also get the opportunity to review everything before you submit. Okay. If you're completing a questionnaire for a participant, or if you're completing the questionnaire and you're approaching a life change, you want to enter the information as if you're already experiencing it. Okay, so if the person, for example, is about to have a baby, you want to answer it as if they have a child, okay, because it will give them access to the types of benefits that they're going to be eligible for with a young child, okay? Same thing as like if someone's approaching retirement, they want to maybe enter the income that they'll be receiving once they're in retirement. Okay, so let's do the questionnaire together. I'm just going to be doing it kind of randomly. We'll see. So I'm going to say, are you up to date with filing your taxes? I'm going to say no. I'll click on next. I'll put in an age. Okay, so we have different age ranges. We're looking at a person's citizenship or their immigration status. So I'm going to say they're a permanent or legal resident. Are you working? Where does your income come from? I'm going to say self-employed. See what happens. I don't think I've tried that one before. How much money does everyone in your household together make in 1 year? So it's the total household income. Okay. How many people live in your home? Do you care for any children? Say no today. Are you or is anyone in your household living with a disability? Let's say yes. Where do you live? I am renting. Are you pregnant or expecting a child? Let's say yes. See, just again, that kind of gives that situation where maybe you're going to get access to some of the benefits that you will eventually be eligible for. The length of stay in Canada, I'm going to say more than 20 years. Are you, your parent, or your spouse a Canadian veteran? I'm going to say no. Do you have a parent or spouse who had lived in Canada and passed away? And that's it. Those are my 13 questions. And then I can hit preview. And as I mentioned, I can go through and I can edit them all. I can take a look at my answers, make sure that I'm happy with them. And I'll scroll down. Don't want to make you dizzy. I'll go slow. Once I hit the bottom, I'm going to be able to submit. And when I submit, I'm going to get recommendations. So in this case, there's 33 recommended benefits, and I'm going to be able to click on those and see them on what's called my dashboard. Okay. So in the dashboard, there's lots of fun things that we can do to kind of organize things. And I just want to take you through it to give you a sense of the type of information that you're going to receive. Okay, so recommended benefits are a really good starting point, but you are going to have to still go through all of them, all right? You're going to have to look at them in more detail. There are sub-lists on the dashboard where you can view benefits that you've seen. So you can see on the left-hand side, you'll be able to filter. So maybe I can filter, I've already looked at this one. I can mark it as seen. Okay, and I can also prioritize things as low, medium, and high. I can add it if I'm already receiving that benefit, or if it's something I'm not eligible for or interested in, I can also remove it from the list. I can then undo that if I need to using the panel at the left-hand side. Okay, all right. I can also do things by relevance, sort by relevance. So if I want them alphabetically, or I just want to see the benefits that I don't need to tax file for, or the ones that I need to apply for while I'm doing my taxes. So you'll see, of course, a lot of the benefits do center around taxes, as we know that filing taxes is a gateway to many of the benefits. So as you can see, we also have some things here, whether or not tax filing is required. You can also see the identification that's going to be required to apply for them. And we also rate the complexity of the application. Some are much more complex than others. Okay. All right. So if we take a look at one of them. Now, one of the things I didn't mention when I started, because I had already gone into the tool, is that normally when I first go in, there will be a pop-up that will ask me what province I'm in. So I was in Ontario, I was already in the tool, but if I'm from a different province or I want to select a different province, I can just go up to the right-hand corner and do that. So right now we're seeing benefits that are for Ontario. So I'm going to take a look at Better Jobs Ontario. And for any kind of benefit, there's always going to be a link to the actual government website. So that's important to know. You can get the information there. And you'll see each of the benefits have things like eligibility, okay, the identification that's needed, and how you're going to apply, okay? All right, so there is so much information on here. We've tried to make it really easy to read, very plain language. The one great thing we hear about this tool is that it's everything in one place. So instead of having to go back and forth, the federal benefits, provincial, territorial benefits, that's all in one place. So that's a really great feature of it. Now, one of the things that I also want to share with you are things like saving your session. So if I want to save this information, I can actually email it to, say, a client if I'm working with them, or email it to myself. I can copy the URL, because otherwise you'll lose the filters that you've created, or the questionnaire, for example. But if I'm working, if I am a frontline practitioner and I'm working with several people, so maybe during the day I'm doing the benefits Wayfinder with several different clients, I want to make sure that I clear my session every time. I can print out what I've done here as a PDF, or print out the screen. So there's lots of way to capture the information, but it's also not going to be saved. You'll clear that as well. Okay, so I can clear that session. All right, now there's a couple of other things that I want to share with you before we go and practice using it a little bit. And that is, we have also a help page. So there are some amazing organizations across Canada that can help with benefits. So there's a list of agencies where you can get support and links to them, their website and how to reach them. So if your organization does do this kind of support and you're not on our list, we'd love to add you. So please let us know. So a lot of these organizations have different kinds of training and support. Okay. There's also an agency portal, and the agency portal has all kinds of different resources for you. It has links to some of the other tools that I'll share with you at the end. One of them is our Bridge to Benefits. There's links to some of the training that we have. So some of our courses that we offer here at Prosper Canada. There's some things like an action plan if you're working with a client and want to create an action plan. There are some key benefits that you can download. So there are some that are more common than others, of course, some tools and worksheets. So maybe if you're talking about benefits with someone, you might also want to provide them with some tools and resources for financial literacy. We have some of our online tools like making the most of your money and managing in tough times. So there's just so much information on here. And of course, you're encouraged to share this with other organizations as well. We're really trying to spread the word. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to, before we jump to actually doing some exploring, I will share with you a little bit about starting points. Okay, so starting points is another way of accessing benefits. So in this case, I'm not going to be doing a questionnaire. I'm going to be just identifying sort of what my situation is. So for example, if I'm looking to get some help with education, I could go right to education costs. If I'm a senior or retired person, I can go and find out about all of the benefits that are relevant to me in that kind of a situation. Okay, so that's another way. Now, of course, the third way is browsing all benefits, and this has some filters here. So again, you can do it by province or federal. All right, I can click off what I'm looking for. Maybe I want to see all the benefits in New Brunswick. And again, I can do things like easy and difficult in terms of application, whether or not tax filing is required or not, and some other tags as well. And that will just allow me to browse. Or maybe I just want to, search for a particular benefit that I've heard about. I can enter it in there as well. Sometimes frontline practitioners say they use this just to educate themselves, or they hear of a benefit and they want to quickly learn about it. It's a great way to just take a look. Okay, I think I've done enough talking. I think it's your time to do some work. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go back to my presentation. Now my mouse, here we go. All right. All right. So now that we've learned how to start the benefits conversation, navigate the tool, and use the tool in different situations, it's time for you to practice. So for this activity, you're going to use the benefits Wayfinder, and you're going to find benefits that people might be eligible for based on their personal circumstances. So this is a really informal activity, and you're going to use a persona that we're going to share with you in just a moment. I'm going to show it on the screen, and I'm also going to put it in the chat for you. But I encourage you to create your own persona as well. Maybe there's a particular type of person that you are supporting, or maybe you work in a frontline capacity and you want to navigate based on the type of people that you work with on a daily basis. But in this case, we're going to take a look at a persona together, and then, as I say, we'll see what you can find. So we're going to review it as a large group, and we have Sergio. He's 33 years old. He is a newcomer and a temporary resident in Canada. He lives in Fergus, Ontario, where he's renting. He earns $40,000 a year as a full-time chef, and he has not filed Canadian taxes before. Now, on the handout that we put into the chat, there is more information about Sergio if you want to learn a little bit more, or you can navigate the tool just using this information as well, and you can kind of fill in the blanks. If there's a question on the questionnaire that you can't answer, you can make it up for Sergio. That's okay. All right, so let's see what happens. What I'd like you to do is take some time. We're going to take about probably about 7 to 10 minutes to allow you to explore. It's a great opportunity to just play around with the tool a little bit. Okay, and I'll give you the instructions here. So I want you to search for the benefits using the questionnaire, just like I showed you a moment ago. And then I want you to, in a moment, I'll put the Mentimeter back on, and I want you to share with us some of the benefits that you find, okay? So you're going to open your browser. If you can take a look at the benefitswayfinder.org so that you're ready to use the tool. I maybe will put the persona back on the screen so that you can see it. And then, yeah, we'll probably only need about 5 minutes. Maybe we'll take 5 to 7 minutes to use the tool, and then we'll come back and share our findings together. Okay. Canada Worker Benefit. Great. And you will notice, I mean, there's still a level of digging that you have to do, shall we say. It will give you those recommendations, and then you still need to open them up and, look a little bit more closely to see whether you are really truly eligible for all of the things. But it certainly helps to pick out the ones that you're most potentially eligible for, and it's a really, really great starting point. And then you can use some of the ways of filtering it so that you can create that document for yourself. Okay, let's see if there's any other comments here. I see a comment from Ainsley. Yeah, that is unusual. So I'm going to look into what's happened there. And that's one thing too. I mean, the Benefits Wayfinder has now been around for a couple of years, but wow, has it ever improved since, it's continually improving and we're continually adding on to things. And so anytime anybody finds something that's a little bit unusual or has an idea for ways to improve it, we're very much always open to hear about those. I saw a comment in the chat from Diana regarding Indigenous benefits, and we actually are going to be doing an audit soon. When we first created it, we didn't have the resources to be able to do a really deep dive into that. We now have some additional resources to be able to sort of find a little bit more of some of the specific benefits, and they'll be added on over the next year or so. So we are trying to improve that. So. But anyways, I think you guys are doing a great job, and we're getting lots of good benefits for Sergio. Good stuff. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing once again, go back to my presentation, and we're going to try something else together. All right, so we got lots of great benefits. So now we're going to take a look at another situation. And what I'd like you to do is try to see what Rabia might be eligible for, but instead of using the questionnaire, I would like you to try the maybe the starting points instead and see how that works. So we have Rabia, who's 19. She is a citizen. And I put place of residence as any town Canada because I'd like you to, so for example, if you're from another province, or you can choose a different province, just choose somewhere else so that you get maybe some different results. Income level is 23,000 a year, working part-time as a server. In terms of her tax filing history, has only been eligible for 1 year, but did not file last year. So again, we're just playing, kind of see what you might be able to find just by using a starting point and see what you get. See what you prefer as well. I'm going to ask you that in just a bit. So I'll leave that up there for just a moment or two so that you can get a sense of Rabia. We'll also put her persona, the link to it in the chat. And then we'll come together again and share some of the benefits that we find for Rabia. Rent assist, yes, great. So for this one, we might see different things because people may have chosen different provinces. That's okay. Just again, it gives us a sense of all the different types. See some federal and provincial, of course. GST, Canada Worker Benefit, dental plan. I see a question about how often do we update information. Actually, every 6 months, we go through quite an extensive update of the tool. That's a really great question. Thanks for asking that. Yeah, because it does change quite quickly, so it's important. And that's why we always have the link as well to the government website. So you can also sort of cross-check it that way. Okay. Climate action, emergency assistance in the chat as well there. Great. So lots of good responses. All right, I'll just give you a couple minutes more. Oh, Manitoba housing, yeah. Should play around for a couple more minutes. Oh, we're seeing more popping up there. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Amanda. So climate action, yeah, and that's now the Canada Carbon. They keep changing it on us. They're not making it easy for us, are they? And then, of course, we often have all these acronyms too, which can be hard to wrap our heads around. All right, good. Okay, I'm going to jump back. You're so welcome to continue to play around, and I'm just going to stop sharing once again the Mentimeter, and I'm going to go back to the presentation. This has a lot of back and forth. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned today, we have a little bit of a bonus. I don't always do the benefits, the disability benefits compass, but I think it's a really amazing tool as well. It's linked to the benefits Wayfinder, so you can access it that way, or you can also access it on its own, which will also give you the direct link to. So as many of you may know, disability benefits are much more complex. So this tool was created in partnership with Plan Institute, Disability Alliance BC, and the SRDC to help improve the navigation of key disability benefits. So essentially, it's a deeper dive into these benefits, and it has more tips and more suggestions on how to apply. Like the Benefits Wayfinder, it has plain language, but this one was designed with people living with a disability and support staff. And within each step, there's tips, examples, frequently asked questions, resources, and challenges that you might encounter and who to contact for help. You can also find out what to expect after you apply and the next steps to take if your application is approved or denied. All right. So the tool has the three main federal benefits. So it's going to talk a lot about the disability tax credit certificate, Canadian pension plan disability benefit, the registered disability savings plan, and then of course it'll have the one provincial and territory disability benefit, depending on what province you're from. So the Disability Benefits Compass can be used by caregivers, by family members, volunteers, and organizations who provide access to benefit support. So I'm going to share my screen once again, and I'm going to give you a really short demo of the Disability Benefits Compass. Here goes. Okay, so this is the home page for the Disability Benefits Compass. On this page, you can, if you want, very quickly select View Key Benefits, which are going to give you those three main disability benefits, plus the one that's for your province. So similarly, you can go up and select which province you're from to get that one. Or you can select Help Getting Started, and there are some tips for how to use the Disability Benefits Compass. We have a video that was created by Disability Alliance BC to talk about the benefits. And then you can browse some of those key benefits, as I mentioned. We also have at the bottom, there's a glossary of terms. So I should have kept going down here. All right, so some of the key terms and some other resources and some other things to help in terms of some of the organizations. We have all their contact information here as well. Okay, so there's lots of information. So on the home page, sorry, I don't want to make you dizzy here. I'll go slowly. So go back up to our home page here. Again, we have sort of where do I want to start? I can go to that video. I can also read website instructions. I should also note that we've tried to make this as accessible as possible, so light and dark mode, and both our tools are available in English and French. Okay, and then one of the things that's I find really helpful with this particular tool is this resource section. Okay, so this is what I kind of wanted to highlight. So these are kind of tiles, we call them, at the bottom of the page. And that's going to take you to some really important and in-depth information on things like what to do if your application is denied, some of the definitions, how to find a doctor, which can be really challenging, sample letters to give to your doctor, so to make it really simple, and questions to ask when opening an RDSP. So lots of really important topics specific to disability benefits. All right. Then I want to show you the type of information that you can get about each benefit. So let's go take a look at one of them here. I'm going to look at the disability tax credit. And so what you'll see is that every benefit has sort of a similar set of information. It'll give you a bit of an introduction about that particular benefit. It'll share with you the eligibility, how you need to apply, what you're going to do after you apply, some of the frequently asked questions, and the resources. So let's explore one of these together. So there's like an introduction about the benefit, all right? And as you can see, there's lots of little accordions that you can click on. So frequently asked questions and lots of extra information that you can peruse. And then I can move on to eligibility. So what kinds of information I need, plus some different kinds of tips as well. Also how to apply, all of the different steps. Okay, all of the different forms, all of the different steps. And I know I'm going through this very quickly. It's because we don't have a lot of time. And as I mentioned, this was kind of a bonus today. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of it. So after you apply, what to expect, okay, how to check the status of your application, those kinds of things, what to do if it's approved. And then we have all kinds of frequently asked questions. The beautiful thing about this tool is that we've brought together so much of the learning from some of our partner organizations and organizations that we've worked with who are experts in the field in this. And so we're really grateful to all of the information that they've shared with us on this. And Plan Institute is one of them. Right. So you'll see a couple of other things, some of the resources here. Okay. So you can actually reach out. We've got a RDSP calculator, lots of different things, other webinars and things that you can access. So lots and lots of great information. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of that. Certainly, if it's something that you want to learn more about, we could do a separate demo of the Disability Benefits Compass, or you can also go onto our Learning Hub where we have one of those pre-recorded as well. All right, back to my presentation. Okay. So I think probably Sharmeen might have given you that. So hopefully you're able to maybe even follow along, or we'll make sure that we get you that link so that you can take a look at it later if you'd like. So for both the Benefits Wayfinder and the Disability Benefits Compass, there are several ways that you can use these tools with community members. So you can use it as a resource yourself, just to find out more information about specific benefits, or actually we've heard that a lot of organizations include it in their onboarding for staff. So if you're going to be working in the access to benefits space, it's a great way to learn about some common benefits. You can also use the Benefits Wayfinder with community members to explore benefits that might be available to them, or as we mentioned, as just a benefits checkup. And then, of course, someone with a disability, you can use the Disability Benefits Compass and really help them to navigate the application process, which can be really complicated. So both tools are a really great way to sort of start that money conversation, right? So maybe you're at a tax clinic, or you're at a follow-up appointment from a tax clinic, or just, providing people with tips to benefits. There's lots of ways to integrate these tools into your conversations. So of course, I want to now make sure we have a little bit of time. Always want to have time for questions. And with a large group like this, I know some of you had difficulty asking them in the chat, so we'll have some time at the end. I also want to just tell you about some of the other resources that we have available. Now, I did highlight some of these in the demo, so I did sort of reach out and share with you the help section and the agency portal. But we also have like tip sheets. So if you're doing intake and triage and referral, we have a tip sheet on that as well. And the Benefits Wayfinder has its own support guide, and the support guide goes into more detail in terms of how to start that benefits conversation. All right, so depending on an individual's needs and their situation, sometimes it's in the best interest to refer a person to another organization. And this might include a tax clinic, an ID clinic, or another community support organization. All right, so it is really a good idea to build a referral network. And what you want to do is have a list of trusted individuals and organizations who can offer this specialized support. And so that's where, if you go to that help section in the agency portal, you might be able to find some of the organizations in your area. Of course, you can also use 211 and just try to kind of create that list and find out what's going on in your community. All right. And yeah, so for future reference, I encourage you to take a look at these links and to reach out and ask if you have any questions, and take a look at some of our resources on our Learning Hub as well. All right, we also have some other new tools. We always have to tell you about all the different things that we're doing here. I mentioned earlier the Bridge to Benefits. The Bridge to Benefits tool is a little bit different from the Benefits Wayfinder and the Disability Benefits Compass because it's more oriented towards managers and organizations. So if you're on the call today and you're maybe an organization going, hey, I'd like to explore access to benefits, I'd like to start offering these kinds of programs, then I highly recommend you take a look at our Bridge to Benefits. Again, we're drawing upon the wonderful expertise of our partners. So we have a group of what we call our benefits navigation champions, so people who really know their stuff when it comes to benefits. And they've shared with us a lot of their best practices and their knowledge, which we've put onto this tool, so that if you're hoping to start some kinds of programming, we'll give you some great tips and some great resources. So maybe you want to open a tax clinic, or you want to help people to get their ID or fill out applications. So there's lots of valuable tips and resources for getting started. There's a link to that from the Benefits Wayfinder, or of course it has its own link as well. And if you want to learn more about that tool, again, we've done a webinar in the past that you can view from our Learning Hub, or I'm happy to give you a demo. That's one of the tools that I got to work on, so I'm happy to share and give a demo to your organization. We also have a course called Making the Most of Your Money. It's an online course, and we have an Investing with Interest handbook. And thank you, Sharmeen, sharing all of these in the chat with you today. And these are great resources that you can use with community members. And all of these links will be provided to you in the PowerPoint, right? And finally, one of the things that I really want to emphasize today, and I mentioned it briefly earlier, is we're really hoping to spread the word about the Benefits Wayfinder and the Disability Benefits Compass. We want to see it integrated into social service organizations. It's such a useful tool, had such great feedback. And if anybody wants to sort of see the impact that it's had, we do have a really great infographic that we can share, that because we've been doing an evaluation of the tool as we go. So we're looking to work with, you know, colleges, professional associations, any large sort of organizations where we can maybe provide training to staff or integrate it into your work or your training. So if that's something that you're interested in, please reach out to me. My email, again, we'll share it with you, is jbolton@prospercanada.org. All right. So we are almost done, and as promised, I've tried to always end so that we have some time. It'll either give you a little bit of time back if there's no questions, or it gives us lots of time to ask some questions and to share some more information if you need it. I just want to encourage you to continue to ask any questions in the chat, or this would be an opportunity to also raise your hand. We can unmute you and have you ask your question. But I just wanted to wrap up and review that as frontline workers or people supporting community members, you really have a unique opportunity to support people with access to benefits. So remember, you really want to assess the setting that you're in. So we talked about those pathways and the individual. So you want to consider having a conversation with them that makes them comfortable, right? So bring up the topic of benefits, look for opportunities, and ask those 3 screening questions. I should have a quiz at the end, see if you remember what the questions are. So the questions, you know, of have you filed your taxes? Do you have a something changing in your life, right? An upcoming event, whether it's like having a baby or retiring, or are you able to make ends meet? Those kinds of questions, right? And finally, the Benefits Wayfinder can be used in different ways to identify and organize benefits an individual might be eligible for, depending on what they're most comfortable sharing or using. Right. So I really want to thank you for joining us today. I apologize for the technical difficulties some of you are having. That was certainly, we've been really good lately, all of a sudden today. But anyways, we'll do some work at the back end and see if we can try to resolve that for next time. We do offer these once a quarter, so there'll be another one coming up in February. So please spread the word. But we really hope that you enjoyed today and that you had a good opportunity to play with the tool and explore it a little bit. We would love your feedback. We're always looking to improve. So we have put a link to a survey into the chat. And then, of course, I'm going to stay on and answer any questions that you have. We hope to see you again soon and that you have a really wonderful day.